Right, so this is gonna sound really weird, but I've spent the last 30 days with my mouth taped shut, and it's been absolutely fantastic. As you guys know, I'm always on the lookout for cool hacks that I can use in my life to level up my health, or fitness, or productivity, or even just being happier and having more fun. Now, one massive factor that bleeds into all of these areas is sleep. There's so much scientific evidence that says that when we're sleeping well, we're healthier, we're more engaged, we get more done, and we just generally have a better, happier life. And so I've been on the hunt for easy ways that I can improve my own sleep. And one of the interesting things I came across on the internet was this idea of taping your mouth shut while you're asleep. This might seem like one of those weird health fads, and yes, there's no categorical scientific evidence for it, but I found enough stories on the internet from people who found it really helpful that I thought I might as well give it a try. Now, the idea here is that if we tape our mouth shut while we're sleeping, we can't breathe through our mouth, and instead we have to breathe through our nose. However you feel about the shape of your own nose, it's a pretty good invention. The mucus and hairs on the inside help humidify and filter the air that we breathe, and warm it to body temperature before it enters our lungs. If you're like me, and you tend to do most of your breathing through your mouth rather than your nose, because your nose is always blocked, then instead of getting that moist, warm, filtered air into our lungs, we are getting the cold, dry air into our lungs instead. This is bad because apparently it causes our sinuses to dry out, worsens our dental hygiene, reduces our intake of nitric oxide, which is important for brain function, and reduces the quality of our sleep, cardiovascular health, and overall blood oxygen levels. And for me as well, I've had this thing for the last few years where I often wake up in the middle of the night with a really dry mouth, and I have to have a swig of water, and then sometimes I can't even get back to sleep. So those are all the reasons why mouth breathing in general is bad and nose breathing in general is good. So I thought, you know what, let's try this taping mouth shut experiment for the next 30 days to see what actually happens. All right, so first night of trying to sleep with my mouth taped shut, I've got these Somnifix mouth strips, 28 days worth, clinically proven to improve breathing and sleep quality. And so it comes in this sort of like packet type thing. And so if I open one of these, look at that. I guess it goes in the mouth like this. I don't know how it's going to interact with the beard, but we'll see. There's a bit of a hole in the middle, and so if I want to talk, I can talk like this. But otherwise, it's encouraging my mouth to stay closed as closed as possible. So I went to bed that night after announcing the experiment on my Instagram story, just in case I suffocated in my sleep. All right, so that's day one. That worked reasonably well. My mouth is a little bit dry, but I didn't wake up during the night at all, and it's a lot less dry than it normally would be. Mission successful, I think. All right, that's one day down and 29 more days to go. And so, with a successful sleep mission under my belt, I decided to continue the experiment for the rest of the month. I recorded some reactions as I went along, but looking at the footage, it's all quite repetitive and not very interesting, which is what you get when you try and film yourself sleeping, I guess. Halfway through the experiment, around day 14, I noticed that the tape was feeling a bit weird on my mouth. And I realized that I should probably not use the same tape for 14 days in a row just to try and save money. And then I realized that these are disposable for a reason. And the idea is that you're supposed to use one every day and then you throw it away and then you do a fresh one the following day. And secondly, I check in with my housemate Sheen to hear what she thinks about the experiment.
What do I think of the experiment? It's pretty dumb, isn't it? I think he could improve his sleep by washing his linen more than once a year, rather than by risking suffocating himself. I'm not complaining though, because it means that I don't hear him snore anymore, which means that my quality of sleep has also improved. Do you know if they do these tapes for daytime as well?
All right, so it has been 3 weeks since I've started using the Somnifixes to tape my mouth shut. For the next week, I'm gonna try and not use those. And I'm tracking my sleep with the Apple Watch and with the Oura Ring. And I've got my bottle of water, and I'm gonna see if it makes a difference to my sleep not taping my mouth shut while I'm asleep. So Alexa, lights off in the bedroom, and good night. And so that was the 30-day experiment. It was 3 weeks with the mouth tape and 1 week without it. Oh, okay, so this was my first night in a while sleeping without the tape, and
It actually wasn't too bad. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night needing a drink of water, but right now my mouth is pretty dry. And I think that sleeping with my mouth taped for the last 3 weeks, I wonder if it's made me more likely to have my mouth closed when I'm asleep anyway, which is why my mouth doesn't necessarily feel drier in the middle of the night. So good times all around. I feel reasonably rested. It's 8:30, my Apple Watch has woken me up, and now I was going to go for a run, but I don't know if I can actually be bothered, so we'll see. So yeah, that's the vibe. I think I'm going to do a bit of snoozing for now.
Let's talk about the main question now, which is, does this actually work, and does it actually improve the quality of my sleep? And there's two ways of looking at this. So there's the subjective way, which is my own personal experience and how I felt. And then there's the supposedly objective way, which is where I was tracking my sleep data using the Apple Watch and the Oura smart ring, which I was wearing every night when I was in bed. Now, in terms of subjective thoughts, yes, I think this actually does work. Like, subjectively, I was noticing that when I had my mouth taped shut, I wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night. And when I would, it would be sort of around 6 o'clock in the morning rather than 3 o'clock in the morning like I would on a normal day where I didn't have my mouth taped shut. And I'd noticed that when I'd wake up, my mouth would feel a lot less dry than usual, and I wouldn't need to drink water throughout the night, which I would have to do otherwise. And maybe this is me just imagining it, but I've noticed that this year, since I've started this experiment, I've had lots of days where I've woken up in the morning, usually at 8:30 where I set my alarm, but I've had lots of days where I've woken up in the morning feeling genuinely refreshed. I honestly can't remember very often last year where I had that experience of feeling genuinely refreshed in the morning. And part of me wants to maybe attribute it to the mouth taping shut, but I don't actually know. All right, what about objectively? So I've been tracking my sleep for the last 2 months basically, using an app called Auto Sleep, which syncs with the Apple Watch, and I've been wearing the Apple Watch to bed basically every night, along with my Oura smart ring, which has its own app. I mean, this is my data for January, and I don't really know how to interpret it. I think the difficulty with this sort of thing is it's only really valid if you keep the parameters constant throughout, and there's like a zillion different variables in this n=1 sleep study that would screw up the results of the experiment, even assuming the data from the Apple Watch and the Oura ring is actually accurate. But I mean, the annoying thing about this is that it was around the 24th of January and the last 7 days of January in which I didn't sleep with my mouth taped shut. And it looks as if my sleep quality on average, just eyeballing these numbers, was actually better when I didn't have my mouth taped shut than when I did, which goes completely against my personal kind of subjective experience of it. But I think it was more likely that during that time I just didn't have anything early in the morning, or I didn't drink caffeine before bed, or I had the lights off, or I didn't go on my phone, or 100 other factors that could go into it rather than just the mouth tape. So subjectively, definitely I noticed an improvement. Objectively, I probably can't really say, but the data didn't quite show the pattern that I kind of wanted it to. So overall, two main questions. Number one, would I recommend this? And number two, am I going to continue doing it? Would I recommend it? Yes, I'd recommend at least giving it a try, especially if you are like me, a mouth breather. And even for me in day-to-day life, I tend to, like, my resting position tends to be with my mouth hanging open. And I've told my housemate Sheen these days too, please tell me when my mouth is hanging open, because that's not a good look. And I've noticed, I think, that since I've started doing this, it makes my default mouth position more likely to be closed. And even though my nose is generally blocked, I notice that when I'm on the laptop or on the computer, I'm actually not often sitting there with my mouth hanging open like I would before. So I don't know, it's one of those things where I think enough people on the internet have said that this is legit for you to at least try it out. If the dry mouth and the having to wake up in the middle of the night to drink water, if that's something you struggle with, try this out, because it certainly helped me. And finally, am I going to continue doing this? Well, I'm actually filming this 2 weeks into February, and I have been continuing this for the last 14 days, basically. Every night I put on a different strip. And I just think it's better. It's now part of my sleep routine. I do my skincare, I turn the lights off, I put my strip thingy on, and then I read on my Kindle until my eyes start to close, and then I go to sleep. And then I wake up. I never need to wake up in the middle of the night for water, and now I wake up, take my tape off, and then I have a good day. So I'm probably going to continue doing this for the next probably few months, and I'm going to buy one of these basically every month, because you get them in a pack of 28. If you're interested, I'll link this in the video description if you want to check them out. Not sponsored or anything like that, but these are pretty solid. And so that's been my experience of taping my mouth shut for 30 days. in an attempt to improve my sleep quality and sleep hygiene. I'm still alive, I did not suffocate, and I think it's actually improved the quality of my sleep. If you like this video and you're looking for other ways to improve your life, then check out this short playlist over here. There are 3 videos on it. The first one is one that I made recently, which is 21 life lessons that I would tell my 18-year-old self. And then I've got 2 other short videos, which are a compilation of life lessons that I've learned over the last 2 years. So check that video out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.